And greetings and welcome to the QCast Season 3, Episode 8. And I think this is my favorite annual episode because this is the Illinois Wesleyan men's basketball season preview show with Ron Rose, the head men's basketball coach of the Titans. And, Ron, I always start off this interview, and every year, unfortunately, the numbers keep ticking up. But this is now your 17th season.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, like I remember feeling sad when I realized I was out of college 17 years, but now realizing that like you've been the coach for 17 years. And I felt like I was already getting old when you took the job. So like, can you believe that this is the year 17, Coach Rose?
Well, I remember you were at the press conference.
Correct.
When
next to Art Kimball
announced that I was going to be the next men's basketball coach. It does not feel like 17 years ago. It does not feel, the time has flown by. It's been an incredible trip. But it's funny how it sneaks up on you. And a lot of great memories, a lot of great players, a lot of fun games to be a part of. And hopefully we've got a few more in us here, Q.
Coming into this year, 294 wins and a 68% winning percentage. So there's going to be a milestone this year, unless the season goes terribly south on us.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
I want to get you to 300 this year at some point. So I know you don't want to talk about milestones, but that's pretty cool and incredible. Obviously, coming off an amazing season last year. Let me ask you how the preseason's been. In the preview, we like to spend most of the time talking about your players. We like to go down the roster. People like to know what to expect from the players, but you've been at it since October 16th, I think. How's the preseason been for a team that, you lost 4 starters here, so this is not like last year where you just come in and everything's ready to roll. How are things been going?
Well, 4 starters, 4 all-conference players.
Yes.
It's those guys not only were great players for us, they logged a lot of minutes, and you look over the last few years, it's the majority of our leadership graduated, and so it's a brand new group, totally new group. Preseason has been, I really like this group. It's smart, hard workers, but it's young. We've got 2 seniors, 4 juniors. Everybody else is a freshman and sophomore.
Right.
And so it's really a young group that, is going to evolve. From the leadership standpoint, is evolving. Roles, we haven't really established roles yet. We're just trying to figure out, partially who's going to play. What is this going to look like? Last year, guys knew when we needed a bucket or as a possession, how to approach that. That has not even been determined yet. Sometimes you just got to get some water under the bridge. We just need some games, some experience to learn from. And so I think this group has a ton of potential. We just have to figure it out. Part of it, you got to figure out how to play harder. You have to learn how to compete as a group. So all those things, it just is going to take some time. But I really have enjoyed the first 2 weeks of practice. I love the challenge of trying to figure out how the team dynamics are going to work. And I think you'll see over the course of the year, we will get better and better as the year goes on.
It's a really strange year in the CCIW in that you had these programs at the top last year: Elmhurst, Wheaton, Illinois Wesleyan, and the top 3 all lost like a boatload of players.
Yeah,
like a tremendous amount of players. North Central is in there. They have a coaching change, lost a couple key guys, Blaze Meredith, in a coaching change. You got what I'll call teams that are kind of up and comers then from last year, the Millikens of the world, the Augustanas, etc. And it's strange that you lost all this and that you're rated 21 in the country and you were picked to win the CCIW. Now we'll find out if those things were crazy or not. And I voted for you. I typically try to be harder on on the Titans than other schools, because I don't, there's I don't want all that drama of, Q voted for the Titans. But when I looked at your roster and I looked at the talent, and then I looked at the rest of the landscape across the country, I thought, that looks to me like a top 25 roster right there. When I looked at the CCIW, I said, it seems to me like on paper, as I stack everyone up, Wesleyan's the favorite. Is it kind of weird to be picked as the favorite with all that you lost?
Well, I think it is really a wonderful compliment to the program, and especially the players within the program, that, yeah, we lose as much as we did and we're picked to win it. My dad had said, it'd be kind of nice this year not to have the target on your back. And
that's out.
That's out. But at the same time, there is so much uncertainty because of all the things that you mentioned. There's always certain years there's more turnovers than others. It's, some years like last year, it's a veteran, older league. This is going to be a time when a lot of guys, new faces,
right,
new players will be playing for different programs. And I think, I've heard, when you start looking, especially, up and down the league, it's going to be really competitive. I mean, there's going to be teams that, in the bottom half beating top half teams regularly. And so it's going to be it's always an interesting conference race. But this year, with so much uncertainty, every night is going to be a battle. And it'll be, our challenge is to be the team that surfaces, that plays good basketball first. In the old days, you didn't play conference play until second semester.
Yeah, January.
Now game 6, where I believe it's at Elmhurst.
November. You could play a conference game in November.
Yeah, it doesn't give you much time. It doesn't give you much time to try to get your ducks in order, and so all of us are, I think, scrambling, trying to get ready to play. And but it's that's the fun part about the CCIW. Everybody is competitive. Everybody's working at it, and it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out this year, because everyone's trying to develop new chemistry, and the team dynamics are different.
You've had some injuries you've been dealing with in the preseason, and I just wanted to ask you about some of those and to see where things stand. I know that Cody Mitchell's been dealing with a back injury, but I believe he's been back practicing and scrimmaging. What is Cody's status, as much as you can share that heading into the
to be honest, as many injuries as we've had, it has slowed the progress of the team. But some guys have, because of those injuries, have gotten more reps than they may have otherwise. So their individual progress has been expedited, which I hope in the long run will help us. A guy like Cody Mitchell, I thought, golly, was he good at the end of last year?
He was great.
But he's back practicing. He's full go, 100%.
Great news.
He's ready to go. He'll be in the starting lineup on Saturday, and is playing really well. And we need that. We don't have really. We have 3 guys, and Cody, Lucas, and Ryan Sroka that really bring a substantial amount of experience. Everybody else is kind of getting their first extended minutes. So we need a guy with as much experience as Cody out there.
It's good that he's a full go. Harrison Wilmsen has something, I think it's a foot. He's your 6'9" sophomore. Where do things stand with Harrison?
And Harrison has had a phenomenal preseason. I mean, he has worked so hard and is playing great. I mean, he really has. He's been a workhorse, probably too much, because he's got I guess they call it a stress reaction in his foot. So it does not sideline him, but we have to be very careful with it and limit how much he's playing now as it heals. So it's something that he doesn't have to deal with all season. So he is still able to go, but on a limited basis. It's kind of one of those things that he's in a boot 22 hours of the day, and except for when he's playing basketball, and hopefully over time that we don't have to completely shut him down. But he's now on a limited basis in terms of practice time. But hopefully that will be something that we can scale back, and he'll get back to 100% in the next 2-3 weeks or so.
Good. You got him out there a little bit in the Bradley game. I think he scored 10 points in 10 minutes against the team.
Oh, no. Harrison has had a great preseason.
Yeah. That's exciting player. We'll talk about him in just a few minutes. Grant Hardy, more size, a 6'8" junior, has been out, and I think he's going to be out for a little while longer. Where do things stand with Grant Hardy?
Yeah, Grant has a history of some knee issues and had a surgery on it in the offseason. It just hasn't responded the way that I think he or we had hoped. And so, you always want to take the long-term health of these guys is the most important thing. And so he's kind of taking a step back and making sure that before he ever gets in a practice jersey and practices that he's 100% healthy. So it's really indefinite in terms of where we're at. We're going to make sure that he's healthy before he ever, tries to come back and play.
One of the really talented perimeter guys on the team is Trey Bazzell from Prairie Central High School. He's a sophomore this year. Trey's been out a little bit with injury. Is he back anytime soon, or where does things stand with Trey?
Yeah, Trey's had several different things kind of going on. He's trying to get his body right. I'll tell you that he's working incredibly hard to get back, and he's kind of been a partial practice player. So he's kind of in and out of practice right now, picking his spots, and he's making progress. I think he's probably 80-85% back. So he's able to do some things. We're easing him into live play. We've really targeted kind of December 1st as, hey, let's be 100% able to really compete and get into practice. So that, again, we're kind of doing that conservatively so that we don't have any, we don't want to take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So we're taking that step by step, but he's working really hard, and we expect him to be back here in the next 2-3 weeks.
Good. And then I guess final injury that I was aware of on the list is Asa Smith, talented freshman from, I think it's El Paso Gridley.
Yeah.
Where do things stand with Asa?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We have a lot of guys who love to work. That they're in the gym all the time on their own, and Asa's one of those guys. And Asa kind of learned the freshman lesson that if you get hurt, you tell the trainer. And Asa sprained his ankle before the season started, but continued to practice, continued to work at it, and it just kind of got a little bit worse. So we've had to shut him down a little bit. Hopefully, we're hoping the next week or so we can get him back and ease him back into it. But I think it's, again, he was just so hungry and excited to play that he just didn't take care of it when he needed to. And those are the lessons you learn.
Right.
We've got a great trainer. Tim does a wonderful job working with our guys. You just got to tell them.
Right. Well, let's talk about the players individually. And I'm just going to go down the roster and just ask you for, a couple sentences on each guy. Really, the objective is just let Titan fans know what to expect from these guys, skill set, how are they doing, that kind of thing. I'll just go right in order of how they're listed in your roster. The first is your talented 6'3" sophomore guard from Round Lake, and that's Hakim Williams.
Yeah. Hakim is a unique player. He's 6'2", 6'3", 200 and some pounds, just a physical specimen. And he's unique because he can play the 1 through the 4.
Yeah.
Now, rarely do you see a guy that is a good enough ball handler to play the 1, but big and strong enough to play the 4, and he can do it. With Hakim, it's just continually getting him more aggressive. He's so good with the basketball, getting to the basket. His shot is much improved. We're really excited about him. He's a different kind of athlete at our level. When he's made strides on the defensive end, but he could be a lockdown type defender. At Bradley, their little guard started talking to him a little bit, and Hakim took that challenge on, and then all of a sudden Hakim's got another gear. And so we're working on getting to that gear consistently because he's just an uber talented young man.
Safe to say, judging from his minutes in the Bradley game, safe to say Hakim's a guy that's going to be in the rotation off the bat, correct?
He's part of your. He's square in the rotation. It's we just got to figure out how best to use him. Yeah. Is it more at the 1? Is it more at the 4? Is it more at the 2 or 3? But he certainly, you're going to see a lot of Hakim Williams this year.
That's great. Lucas Heflen, your senior point guard.
Yeah, I think his story of his 4 years has been documented. He came in and played a lot of 4 in high school, never really played the 1. Our varsity reserve team desperately needed a point guard, so we threw him out there, and really it revolutionized his game. He struggled early, but continued to get better. And the thing about Hef, he's a worker, man. And he is as fit a guy as you're ever going to find. The guy is a workhorse. He's in the gym. Came in all fall. He's in the gym, 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, getting up shots. He has maximized his window of opportunity. Like when you say you get 4 years to play basketball, he's maximizing his 4 years. He's worked at it and made himself into a heck of a player. And it's been fun watching him evolve as a player, as a leader. He came in and he played varsity reserve, and then he earned a varsity uniform, and then he slowly earned a little bit of time. Last year, he was a pivotal, first perimeter guy off the bench, pivotal player on a really good team, and now he evolves into a senior captain, starting point guard. And, he's earned everything he's gotten. And I really respect that, and I think our players do too, knowing how hard he gets after it.
And kind of a good example of the strength of the program. You could point to other guys in years past that had a similar story, but a guy that had to come in and work and develop and didn't get put on the floor right away, turned himself into a player. And here he is when you need him. You lose your point guard from last year, and you need a point guard, and you got a guy that's ready to roll.
Yeah,
and that pretty good story of where kind of where the program stands when you got that kind of talent ready to go.
Well, he's what you want. He's a guy that came in and earned everything he's gotten. And there are many times that he could have been frustrated or wanted more, but he's never been an excuse guy. He's been a guy that just, he's always had a great attitude, been coachable. And his path is exactly what you want. I think he takes away a lot of things from that he knows, hard work pays off. And hopefully young guys can see that as well, that there's always a path to opportunity if you're willing to stick with it.
I remember when he committed, I got a note from a Division III head coach that had been recruiting him that said, the note was basically, you're going to like this guy. This guy is going to be a good player at Illinois Wesleyan, and it's turned out that way. How about Trey Bazzell, a sophomore from Prairie Central?
Yeah, Trey is one of the things is that you jump out is when he shoots the ball, you say that's how that's supposed to look. It's just smooth, right? It's from a purity standpoint, he's a pure shooter. And the other thing I like about Trey is he's really mature. He gets it. Like he can see things on the floor. He understands what needs to happen. I remember people said when we got him, he's kind of Corey No 2.0, and he's very similar in terms of how he plays, his understanding of the game. We just got to get him healthy. He wasn't able to play second half of the season last year with a leg injury. And he's worked very hard to get his body right. I'm really anxious to get out there. I can't wait to, we coach him a little bit. I can't wait to coach him on. He's going to be one of those guys that's just so smart. He understands what needs to happen on the court. He has a great feel for the game. And then a terrific skill set. He can dribble it. He can shoot it. I mean, he can rise up on people. And then, before all his injuries, he was sneaky athletic. And so if we can get his body right and get that athleticism back, Trey's got a bright future.
And it seems like, a spot, an opportunity for another shooter in your rotation if he can get himself healthy in the mix. How about Shane Miller, a guard from Springfield?
Yeah, Shane is a charismatic guy. Never met a stranger. Everybody loves Shane. He brings a ton of energy, and he can handle the ball. He can play the one or the two. His skill set has improved. He came in as a drive first kind of guy, and he's worked on his jump shot. When he gets himself in great shape, he could develop into a really good defender, because he's tough. He's got great instincts, and he's one of our best passers. Like when he drives, people talk about dropping dimes and things. He sees things that a lot of guys don't see. He can really pass the basketball. So, but Shane's a guy that always keeps things loose in the locker room.
There's a great clip of him. Sometime I'll send it to you. At the end of the Yeshiva game, the clock's ticking down. There's still like 20 seconds left in the game, and he starts walking on the floor, clapping, and Hakim grabs him by the neck and just reels him back and points at the scoreboard like there's still time on the clock, man. And the interaction between the two of them, I need to send it to you. It's priceless. I've tweeted it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'll say this. Last year, obviously the guys who start and play the most get all the attention. Part of last year's success were the guys that weren't playing. Shane and Hakim, you just mentioned, were into it and were great teammates. And those are the guys that ultimately determine the dynamic of your team. It's always easy when you're the starting guy to be into it, but are the guys that aren't playing into it? And last year's group really was. And it was fun to see because, to be honest, at first, it's sometimes hard for a guy like Shane that was first team all conference guy, really a lot of accolades. And I just say Shane, but every freshman or sophomore that hasn't played themselves into the rotation yet, to kind of understand what their role is and humble yourself and be a good teammate. And last year's guys were spectacular. And we've had that over the years. You know that. The importance of those guys on your team. And, that's another thing that will have to be developed on this year's group as well.
Absolutely. How about Pryce Punkay?
Yeah. Pryce is another one that for 2 years, his first 2 years have battled injuries. I mean, he's had one after another and another tireless worker. And, Pryce is, I don't know how many of the shooting machines that we have to invest in, but he'll wear it out, man. He gets in there, and the kid loves to. I think it's a mental health thing for him. Get in there, put the headphones in, and get up 1,000 shots because he's in there all the time. And that's a gift of his. He can really, really shoot the basketball. And we had a kind of, he and I talked early in the year and say, hey, if you're gonna get yourself in the mix here are some things that how I see it playing out, that role that you could really play for the team. And the thing you love about Pryce is he goes, Coach, I think I can do that. I mean, if that's what it's going to take to get on the floor, I can do that. And the other thing about Pryce, I don't know how well you know him, he's got a personality plus. I mean, he knows how to use his words, and he uses them a lot. Pryce is always talking. He's got energy. He comes to practice with a great attitude. He loves to be there. You can tell it. He's a great teammate, and and he's in the mix right now. And he's a guy that can really stretch the floor. Not only can he shoot the three, but he can. The Bradley game, the first one he hit was from the logo. I mean, he's got deep range. And if some of our size can develop, I've always said, it's really hard. Like last year, you throw it into Matt, he required a double. We're going to have some other guys this year as they develop are going to require attention. And so a guy like Pryce or guys that can shoot the basketball help spread the floor and make that really difficult decision for coaches to make.
Yeah, he made a few threes against Bradley that helped keep you right in the middle of the game in the first half. And so exciting to see him get his opportunity. How about Grant Taueg?
Yeah, Grant Taueg, Jr. Tiggy is a a guy that has a really good overall game. I think he's got the quickest hands on the team. I mean, he's got lightning quick hands. Defensively, can really move his feet. When he gets his feet set, tremendous three-point shooter. Had a really good varsity reserve season last year. And again, with I think 6 total juniors and seniors on the team, has that veteran presence.
How about your talented sophomore, Nick Roper?
Yeah, Rope's coming. And I think he's one of the guys that, if we're going to make the next jump to be a team that deserves national rankings and compete for the CCIW, he's a guy that we're really counting on to make that next jump. And oftentimes you see that from freshman year, the light bulb turns on. What's it going to take for me to be a good player at this level? And Nick has really worked at it. He's unique. We list him 6'7". He's at least 6'8". I mean, yeah. He's an inch taller than Cody Mitchell. And we've always talked about how tall and long Cody is. I mean, Nick Roper, 6'8", all day long, can get to the basket. We did a vert test and then an approach test. Rope jumped 11-10, so close to 2 feet over the rim. So he's a ridiculously good athlete, very versatile. I remember when we recruited him, I mean, he's a perimeter player. He's not a low post guy. But what I love is he's developing that mismatch ability to get down in the low post, because he's going to – I don't know if he'll have a matchup anytime this year where the guy is as tall as he is.
Yeah.
But he can step out and shoot it. He can handle it. Tremendous passer, tremendous offensive rebounder. We're really looking for a big year from Nick.
I always call him 6'8" when I tweet about Nick Roper, and then someone will say, look, the roster says 6'7", and I always say, I guarantee you the kid is 6'8". So Coach Rose, why can't we just list the guy at his height, which is 6'8"? Well, why don't we just?
We need to make that. Well, we're trying to trick guys. We're trying to fool them. No, he's all a 6'8" and might be touching 6'9". He might have grown. I mean, he is tall, and what a unique player he is at our level. When he's running around out there at Bradley, I mean, he looks like those long,
right,
athletic guys that play that position at that level.
Yeah, exciting opportunity here for Nick Roper, and I think Titan fans are going to love watching him play this year. You had a really good recruiting class. One of your talented freshmen you were excited about for sure is David Williams from Peoria, Notre Dame. Talk about David Williams.
Yeah, D-Will, he is a fierce competitor. That's the thing. The first time I saw him play in high school, was like, holy cow, is he getting after it? He's communicating. He had an intensity about him. You could tell he hated to lose. And that jumps off the page. And then with that, he does it every day in practice. Super coachable. Other thing that I love is we go to watch him play in high school. The ticket person, hey, who are you here to see? David Williams. I love David. You go get a popcorn, before the game. Who are you here to see? David Williams. My favorite guy, David Williams. Everybody loves David Williams. I mean, he just has that personality, just incredibly likable, respectful, coachable. But he can handle the ball. He has a unique ability of, you always talk about delivering the basketball on time and not taking it. He understands where to get the basketball, how to deliver it on time. He's playing in Peoria. He's played against pressure. He can handle it, take care of the ball against pressure. So he's an exciting prospect for sure.
I know that, and just you need another ball handler somewhere in the rotation. Is he in the competition? Should you need another ball handler for 5 minutes at a time? Is he in that battle right now, or is he not quite there yet?
Yeah, no. You've got right now Lucas is our starting point guard. Hakim is backing him up, but you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes, it would be nice to put Hef off the ball some. It would be nice to have Hakim off the ball some. And so we're looking to see, at this time of year, at some point in December, we always kind of say, hey, to get to our highest level, what does this need to look like? We're still trying to determine that, whether the highest level is to find another point guard, another ball handler, and slide those guys off a little bit, or keep them at the point. So David's clearly in the mix, and we're kind of giving him those opportunities to get on the first group and kind of see what that looks like.
Awesome. You have a really talented junior in Ryan Sroka. Talk about Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan is, it's been fun watching him develop into a leader on the team, another captain. We don't have a lot of juniors that are captains, but you could tell the players' respect for him. He's another gym rat, another hooper that has spent countless hours refining his game. I think he's been in, he's played 2 years. So he's got 2 years of experience under his belt with as many good players as we had last year. He was kind of in that role that he could get, 3 to 6 shots a game, where he accepted. He actually thrived in that role. I thought he had a really good season last year, and he was that guy that could, on a given night, he hit big shots at the game here when we beat Elmhurst. He was a huge part of that. We don't do that without that production, but I think he's ready to take another step, not just in leadership, but in his play. He can score. He's a big guard. He's 6'5", 6'6". I remember putting him back to back with Matt Laird's last year. It's pretty darn close. And so he has the ability to score inside. We didn't recruit him to be a 4, but he was kind of forced into that last year because that's we needed from him. And as the year went on, he got more comfortable. And I think ultimately it's made him a better all-around player because now he has more comfort in that. But he's really a wing. He's a 2 or 3, can shoot the basketball. He's going to get an opportunity where, last year, if you missed your first 2 threes, you're going to get 3 there. That's tough role to be in. I thought he handled it really well, but we're looking for him to have, kind of grow in some of the things that we're going to ask him to do on the court. And clearly some of the leadership baton is being passed to him as well.
And I don't want to help Coach Steinmetz out, but, they play tonight. We're going to get to see who their starters are. But Coach Rose, the cue line is that Ryan Sroka is going to be in the starting lineup against Yeshiva Saturday night. Are you willing to confirm this, or are you just going to play it like we'll see? I believe Ryan Sroka is going to start for you. Can you confirm that or not?
Ryan Sroka is going to start for us. There's no doubt about it. He's earned that. And I think Ryan's going to have a great year. I'm excited, but yeah, he's causes, when he's on the wing, he's a big wing. When he's in the post, he's a guy that can step out. Again, I think one of the common themes that I keep saying is the versatility of this team. And I said early in practice, and this has made some of maybe our development slowed down because we're playing a lot of guys in a lot of positions that guys aren't just settling into one, but I want to be able to play any 5 guys that we want. So we have to have guys that can play multiple positions, and Ryan's certainly one of them.
One of your freshmen that I got excited about watching highlight videos, and I got excited because he reminded me a little bit of Pete Lambesis, and that's Will Shank. I think he's left-handed. He's really athletic. He's got a unique skill set that reminded me a little bit of a Pete Lambesis and how he played. Talk about Will Shank, if you would.
Yeah, Will came from the same AAU program that Pete played in, and obviously you've got the lefty about the same size, and Will's athletic, can really handle it, can really pass it. It went to a prep school last year, so he's actually a year older.
Right.
So some of the transition, some of the adjustments to college have been a little bit easier for him, and you can tell, we get this a lot at Illinois Wesleyan. We get really good kids and respectful kids and guys that want pleasers, want to do what the coach says, and he's trying to figure out that balance between breaking out and being aggressive. And so he's, as we talk, what are we, 2.5 weeks in, maybe 3 weeks into the season. So it's really early, but Will is a wonderful kid. Glad he's part of the program. And I think as he gets more comfortable, we'll start seeing some of the stuff that we saw him do when we watched him play AAU.
Another sophomore with a crazy, crazy high ceiling is Harrison Wilmsen. Your 6'9", 4. Talk about Harrison.
Yeah, Harry's been a beast. I mean, he came in physically. He worked. Physically, he looks different, and he wasn't skinny last year. I mean, he was a big, strong freshman, but he's different this year, and he brings a unique size, intensity. I mean, I hate that we're having to scale him back now because the big fella brought it every day. He was like a slow burn in practice that he was getting after it. And he's got, what I love is, I love those versatile post players that can play inside and out. And he's one of them. I mean, can step out and shoot it. He can score inside. He was really rebounding ball incredibly well. Guys were bouncing off him. A guy like I always said, Matt Laird's just kept pursuing the ball, and Harrison really was doing that. As he was pursuing it, literally guys are bouncing off him as he was going to get that here these first 2 weeks. So he's going to have a great year. I mean, he's a difference maker. He is a 100% difference maker. We talk about distorting the other team's defense. He's going to distort the other team's defense. And he's, again, a versatile guy that we can play on the inside. We can play on the outside. He's going to have a great season.
A lot of people have asked me, like, how did Wesleyan get picked first in the preseason poll? And, I always say, well, in addition to Sroka and Heflen and Mitchell, the guys that played a lot, I believe that people saw glimpses of Harrison and Roper and some other guys and said, when you add those guys in the mix, they're probably going to be pretty good. Like Harrison's a guy that when I watched him last year, just 5 minutes at a time, I would always leave saying he's going to be really good. He kind of jumped out last year, didn't he?
Yeah, no, there's no question. And he was, like you mentioned, Nick and Harrison, they were in the rotation. I think they were like, 7, 8, 9, something like that. So they got their feet wet. That's one of the great things about, last year's experiences. They got to see the level of play. They understand how good you have to be to put yourself in the position we were in last year. So they got to feel that. They got to experience it. And Harrison is the one. I mean, he got out there, and I think that was a common thing. Is, wow, is he going to be good? Yeah. And here's the thing I love about Harry is he's so coachable. And last year he knew what his role was. He didn't go beyond it. He knew he was going to go in there, and he was incredibly unselfish. He played his role perfectly. Now we need him to take on a bigger role.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, he's ready for that. We just got to get him healthy, but he's gonna be a difference maker. People aren't going to be saying he's going to be good. That you're going to be saying he is good.
You have a talented point guard, Nathan Valentine. Nathan's a junior this year. Talk about sophomore or junior?
Sophomore
point guard, Nathan Valentine. Talk about Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan's a tough nut. I mean, he's another guy. I know he and Lucas worked out a ton. I mean, he's in the gym all the time, shooting to the point, to be honest, where he had to shut himself down last spring and summer quite a bit because of some overuse injuries. But he's always going to play hard. He can really shoot the ball. He's got good quickness, good ball handling skills. And he's another one that's in the mix there as we kind of figure out what route we go. But he's a guy that brings the energy every day. When he's on the second group, he's picking up full court and he's encouraged his teammates. And he's a guy that just makes you better by his presence on the team.
Yeah, from a big school in the Chicago suburbs and had some monster high school games, can really, really handle it and score. So excited to see where things go for Nathan Valentine. I usually am not surprised by your recruits. I usually work hard to know who those guys are. But when Miles Nash committed, I had to say, what do you mean Coach Rose is dabbling in Arizona? Like, when did that become a thing? Talk about Miles Nash.
Well, we scanned the globe this year for our recruiting class, Q. You know, usually it's been Central Illinois, the Chicago suburbs.
Right, it's
St.
worked.
Louis has been great to us, but we're going West Coast here over to Arizona. Steve Schaefer, who was Augustana's basketball coach after Coach G for 1 year, runs a scouting service out there, and got a hold of me and said, "Hey, I got a young man for you. He's a Wesleyan type kid. You know, he's president of student council, great student leader, starting point guard for 3 years on one of the best teams in Arizona." And Miles came in, and when you talk to him, he's a really impressive young guy, super impressive, very mature for a freshman. And so he came in, and we saw all the things Steve said. We watched film. You know, we unfortunately didn't get to see him play live, but he's a smart player, can handle the ball, can guard. I think he's going to be one of those guys, as he learns the system and really understands it, that's where he will excel. And just a coach will do whatever you ask him to do. So we're super excited to have Miles in the program.
One of the fan favorites on this team is Cody Mitchell, and I can tell you from the games I go to, watching the kids that watch Cody, and then hearing the kids talk about, like, Cody's a guy that people kind of gravitate to on this team, and now he's a senior. So talk a little bit about Cody Mitchell.
The many looks of Cody Mitchell, right? You got the bun, you got the headbands, you got all the stuff going on. Cody's got a little flair. Cody's got he's intense. And you know, he's one that you watch also from freshman year to sophomore year. He got better. He changed his body. You know, if you look at freshman pictures of Cody Mitchell, you know, he's tall and skinny, and but what I love is every year he's gotten better. And really, I thought one of the keys to last year's team were the last 6 weeks with the maturity of Cody Mitchell, in terms of really understanding who he is and what he's really good at. And one of the, you know, he helped us win 2 games with offensive rebounds on free throws.
Absolutely.
But he hit, you know, Matt Larritz's numbers went down last year. It wasn't that Matt was rebounding less. It was just Cody was snagging 10 a game.
Right. And
if you look over the last month of the season, I mean, he had 9, 10, 11 rebound games consistently. And that was kind of early in Cody's career. It was the consistency thing. You know, you would get spectacular, and then you wouldn't notice him as much. And I thought the last 6 weeks, you could put it down. You know, he was going to be right around that double and double every time. And so it was really fun to watch him mature into that type of producer. And a lot of times, and this is what we're, you know, guys that got a taste last year after experience, sometimes, you know, if we got something out of Cody his freshman, sophomore year, it was great. But he wasn't going to usually determine if we were going to win or lose. Last year, he had to produce for us to win. And some of these guys that are growing into new roles, it's different. Last year, you know, if you got something out of one of these guys that were playing 8 to 10 minutes, that was a bonus. Now there's a difference between every night out. You have to be ready to play and play well if we're going to win. And Cody developed that. He's another guy, 6'7", long, can play inside out. I thought that's where he really grew last year, as he got more composed in the low post. He kind of understood. We always told him to slow cook him, just slowed his thinking down and understood, hey, I'm 6'7", long and strong. He could physically do that. And then the ability to step out and with his perimeter skills, full shooting the basketball. And now he's that one of those guys that he probably has, well, not probably, he has the most experience on the team of understanding passing, how we play along to everybody else, helping everybody understand the level of play, the standards, all those things. And it's fun to watch Cody grow into that.
And he made some big plays late in games that were enormous. That I can't remember the exact games, but I can picture them on my little video stream. I mean, I'm talking like 16-foot jump shots that were enormous baskets, and free throws. I think at the end of that Elmhurst game at home, there were several games where he made not only the offensive rebounds, but baskets. And not to mention, one of my favorite moments of the season, the 3-pointer against La Crosse from the left wing. It was a
Yeah.
bomb. And I think Cody had passed it once. And I'm sitting there thinking, if they pass it back to him, he's not passing it again. That thing's going up. He tried to pass it, and he did. And he stepped into that thing, and I wasn't in the building. It had to be about the loudest the Shirk was last year.
The Shirk center roof was shaking.
Yeah.
I mean, but Cody's never afraid of the moment. Cody loves the moment.
Yes, he does.
Cody loves the moment. What I love about Cody, we laugh about this. Like he was always in the point guard's ear, and he's always, because he thinks the game and he sees things, and and I love that. That's a smart player. But hey, look for me. I'm open here, and he doesn't shy away from the moment. So yeah, it's really great to have a senior with as much experience as Cody, and I'm so excited that he's back healthy and has a little bit of time here to prepare for Saturday's game.
Yeah, really going to be an exciting senior year for Cody. I met one of your recruits last year at the NCAA tournament. He came down with his dad to watch the game, and I was blown away by how tall this dude is. So Nathan Boldt, like, I have a photo, Ron, with me and Matt Laritz, and Matt is taller than me, obviously. I'm about 6'3". I'm telling you, this photo with Nathan Boldt, I've only looked as short when I'm next to Sikma. Talk about this 6'9", 6'10" kid, Nathan Boldt.
Yeah, he is tall and he's long. What has really been impressed me, when I went to watch him play an open gym before his senior year in high school, he is handling the ball. He's passing the ball off the dribble. He's doing things that 6'9" guys in high school don't do. He's really skilled. He moves exceptionally well. Sometimes you think 6'9" freshman might be a little bit of a plotter. Nate can move. He can get up and down the floor. He gets up on the rim quick. What I've loved, and I didn't know this about him, you wouldn't until you coach him, how smart he is. He picks things up quickly. He's the guy you tell him at once, and he's got it. So that's been really a fun thing that I didn't know about Nathan before you coach him, is how smart he is. But he's going to be that guy that can play multiple positions. We're not playing him at the 3 now, but he could be a guy that you could play with 2 other big guys, because he can pass, he can shoot. He's so long, he gobbles up guys defensively, and as he just gains strength and experience. He's got really a bright future, but he kind of can plug a lot of gaps for us. Like, he could play with Harrison, he could play with Cody, he could play with Evan, he could play, different guys. So, he is certainly one of the guys that is in the mix as we kind of figure out what's going to get us to our highest level. And I didn't know he'd be as developed and far along as he is. And a big part of it is just how smart he is. And another hard work. So he's got a bright future, certainly.
And as you know, I always have my spotters at the various scrimmages and exhibitions. You know that I've got a live stream of information, Coach Ray. You know this. And I tell you what, the most common theme from my army of spotters has been, hey, this Nathan Boldt kid is really skilled. He runs the floor well. So I've gotten enough of those notes here to be pretty excited about the fact that, hey, maybe this freshman can get in the mix this year and help you out. So that's going to be really cool to see play out. We talked about this next freshman being injured, but to talk about what Asa Smith brings to the program.
Yeah, Asa Smith has a real strong family connection to Illinois Wesleyan. And he told me this, I don't know what the number is, 24 or something of family members that have come to Illinois Wesleyan. His uncle's Doug Clemens.
Clem, anyone that's related to Clem is good people, right?
Absolutely. And so he's a Titan. Asa grew up coming to camps. So I've known Asa since he's been elementary school kid. And it's interesting. He's really grown and he's athletic, crazy athletic. When you put guys on the line before he got hurt, he runs and he's ready to go again. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete, hard worker, had a great year at El Paso, really a versatile player. I mean, he's 6'4". We've been playing him at the 3 and the 4. And just willing to do whatever. He's just a terrific kid. Again, another young man that really matured beyond his age. I mean, very responsible. He's going to, you don't worry about him being on time, but don't worry about him working hard. Don't worry about him having a bad, he's just a high quality guy that we're very excited to in the program.
You have another prep school guy, which I think is exciting, getting some of these kids that are a year older, especially with COVID, kids, looking to do something for a year to figure this all out. Nick Tingley is a really highly regarded perimeter guy coming out of, is it Lincoln, one of the Lincoln Ways, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about Nick.
Yeah. So we recruited Nick out of high school and ended up, because of COVID, going down to Florida to a year of prep school. And we're excited. And during that time, he really improved his body, developed his overall game. It was really a pretty intense basketball experience at the prep school down in Florida. Has come back, and he can really shoot. I mean, from the time I think he started as a sophomore, as a sophomore in high school, he was the guy that he put out there because he could really shoot. But he's sneaky athletic. I mean, Nick is bouncy, and he's one that again, in type of kids, he's fundamentally solid, plays hard. As he gets more comfortable, we'll start cutting it loose a little bit more. He doesn't want it right now. He's kind of in that mode as a freshman, doesn't want to make mistakes. But I think Nick is a guy that can do a lot of different things, and a big guard. I mean, he's 6'3", strong, and can shoot, and very smart. So, we're excited Nick is in the program and excited for him to get more comfortable. He's another guy I think within our system really fits how we play.
We talked about you going way out of the geographical footprint to Arizona. Well, this next one really takes the cake, because you went overseas for Julien Hussherr, and you'll have to tell me if I'm saying this right. But Coach Rose, how do you end up recruiting a player from France? Can you tell me how this thing played out, and talk about Julien?
Well, Wags didn't let me go over on a visit. I was hoping I could go over there and recruit France for a week. That didn't happen yet. That's not quite in our budget. So my son Brady Rose played in the TBT for We Are D3 with a guy named Mike Pierre. Mike Pierre was an All-American on the East Coast. Mike was coaching at the prep school that Julien was at last year. And so I met Mike when they were in Wichita playing, and Mike called me up and said, "Hey, Coach, I got a guy that I think will be a great player at your level." And so we sent us film, watched the film. Julien is uber skilled. The ball's on a string, can shoot it. And so over the course of the year, it was kind of a long, drawn out, kind of a slower process just to make sure it was a good fit. And so through that, Julien really liked Illinois Wesleyan. He's a guy that was texting me after we watch our games, ask questions about what happened on the court. Congratulations. He kind of got into the Titans last year. And so, it's one of those situations where it's, hey, Julien, they haven't had a chance to see you play. You can be a part of it, but, you're going to have to show that you're good enough. And Mike understood the level. So I had a pretty good feel that he was going to be good enough to be part of the program, but you never know till guys get here. And he's been a pleasure. Julien's been a pleasure. Talk about a gym. He's a worker, and he's here early. He's here late, and he's got game. Julien's got some game. He can guard. He's smart. He was asking me to send him clips over the summertime. Can you send me clips? I want to learn the offense. And he's just gobbling it up. And it's fun having someone from France. He brings a whole different dynamic. Guys really like him, fits in perfectly. But he's another guy that's in the mix. we're getting him over there, kind of figuring out where he's at. He's had some cool experience. He's played in a semi-pro league in France this past summer, so he's played good people before, and very excited that Julien's here.
Well, I always kind of like the guys that maybe are a little bit sleepers. They play on the varsity reserve, and then all of a sudden they get their chance. And I was pretty surprised to find out that going into the Bradley game, you're playing a Division I team. And here comes my guy, Marko Anderson, in the starting lineup. Last year I had some JV clips, some varsity reserve clips of various guys, and Marko I'm featuring as a varsity reserve guy. And all of a sudden he's starting against Bradley. So tell me, Coach, what is going on here with Marko Anderson?
Well, you gotta love Marko. Marko is a high energy, high motor guy, has a great feel for the game. And Marko understands this. Clearly, if Cody Mitchell was in uniform, Cody starts against Bradley. But it's what a luxury to have a guy that's been in the program a year, understands how we play, is going to give great effort like Marko, so that, when we were in a situation with Cody and then, Harrison, we're going to limit to 8 to 10 minutes, that is ready, is not afraid of the moment, isn't, I'm not saying he wasn't nervous, but excited to get to be on that stage, and made the most of his opportunity. And so Marko is a rebounding savant. I mean, the guy is all over the glass. Like when we go, when he's playing on the second group, he drives the first group crazy, because if you're guarding Marko, you better get a body on him and hold that, because he has a natural instinct around the basket, and a great offensive rebounder, plays really hard. But also on the low post, he's got great footwork, soft touch. We're excited about Marko. Marko is a basketball player, and so he was all smiles when I told him he was starting for Bradley, and was pumped up about that. That was an exciting moment.
In the post game of that, the post game interview with Eric and Joel, and we'll talk about Evan in a second. But Evan Schneider had a phenomenal post game interview, and he talked about Marko. And his quote was something like, he's one of the best rebounders I've ever seen. The ball just seems to find him. And I thought that was an awesome quote. And that's kind of what you're saying, is he's a rebounding savant. It's funny. How do some guys are like that? Some guys are just naturally great rebounders. And what makes you a naturally great rebounder? Is anything to that?
Well, part of it is it's your mindset, right? He knows that's his strength, and that's a priority to him. And so some guys may be thinking about scoring the ball or defense. Marko's thinking rebounding. Shot goes up, and you got to have a motor. You do. There is some instinct to this, just understanding where that ball is shot, where it's coming off. But it's also that second effort. A lot of guys, the shot goes up, and if someone were to box them out, they run to a back, they stop trying. I mean, Marko makes a move, and then he spins, and then he keeps moving. It's just being active.
Yeah.
And he thrives on that. Some guys, that great passer, Magic Johnson loved making the assist pass. Marko loves offensive rebounding putbacks. I mean, what a great thing.
That's great.
And he thrives on that.
Yeah.
And so he's really, again, I've said this, I guess, several times, understanding who you are and being great at who you are as a player. Marko has really figured that out.
Looking forward to seeing him play. Sometimes I like to make up stats and let people prove me wrong, Coach Rose. So I've made one up that I believe is right. And here's my stat: this is the first time in 115 years of Titan basketball that the Titans have had 2 foreign-born players on the roster. We talked about Julien, and Karlo Colak was born in Croatia. And I believe my made up stat is correct. No one has proven me wrong. But talk about your talented 6'5" forward from New Trier, Karlo Colak.
Yeah, so Karlo grew up in, not only was he born there, but he grew up in Croatia. His sisters are still living. His family's still over there. His mom's in the States. His dad is back and forth. So he spent all summer in Croatia. So it's not a case that, he moved here when he was born. He grew up there, and graduated from New Trier. Karlo, he's a charismatic guy too. It's interesting when we go up this year and recruit in Chicago. Everyone says, "Oh yeah, I know Karlo. I love Karlo. Oh, you got Karlo. Karlo's with you." I mean, he's just one of those guys that is a unifier. Like people, everybody, he's positive. He's one of those guys that's not afraid to give a compliment. He's a tremendous addition to our program, just from a dynamic standpoint. Talking basketball, he can stroke it. He can really shoot the basketball. Like it's again, when he rises up and shoots it, it's smooth. And he's another worker. Was really getting prepared for the season. Suffered a high ankle sprain a couple weeks before we started practice. Has been slowed up, and really it's just been within the last week that he's starting to move like he's capable. But because he's bouncy too, he'll get up on the rim, but he can really shoot the basketball. He's skilled. He's a basketball guy. He's going to be a great player as a Titan. Again, he's a little behind now because, the first week and a half, 2 weeks, he didn't get many reps. But I think he's healthy now. And I think he's a guy that's just going to get better and better as the year goes on.
Comes out of a great high school program in New Trier. And he's another guy where when he committed, I had a lot of people reaching out to me, people that I didn't even know that well, just saying, you're going to like this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know that he started most games at New Trier. I think he came off the bench a lot as a sixth man, sometimes started. But the feedback that I've had is just like, this guy is just a winning type player that makes shots, can shoot it, smart player. So excited.
Well, New Trier was one of the best teams in the state last year.
Absolutely.
And there's something to be said. As a freshman, sometimes you got to fit in before you stand out. And he's played with really good people. He knows how to play a role. He knows how to fit in with the system. And so, I know the reports we were getting early in open gyms, guys love playing with him because he knows how to play. Yeah. He makes open shots. He knows how to play the game of basketball. So yeah, we're really excited about Marko and Karlo. I've said that multiple
Karlo
times.
And Marko. I can see why you're doing that.
Karlo, and I'm screwing them up. So
that's great.
That isn't the first time and won't be the last.
I always kind of develop some of my favorites on the roster, and I've been interacting with this kid on Twitter since the day he committed. I think this kid has a lot of personality. He makes me laugh a lot. And that's Evan Schneider. Evan's another guy that got the start against Bradley. And I'm personally excited that here as a junior, it seems like there's a pretty clear path for Evan to be a big contributor for you. Talk about your monster 6'6" beast of a junior, Evan Schneider.
Well, I think I told you that story when he came in as a freshman to work basketball camp before his freshman year, and we had some of our supporters come over just to see the new guys and I said, "Oh, that's Evan Schneider from St. Louis." They're like, "I thought he was a high school coach coming to work camp." and Evan is one of the most disciplined. He might as well be 40 years old in his approach to everything. He's very mature, disciplined in everything that he does. How he approaches his schoolwork, how he's approaching his future career. He's a hard worker. He gets it. Last year he was in a position to play minutes and then dislocated his shoulder.
Yep.
And really set him back. Took a long time to and then by the time he got back, we were right in the throes of things. But he's in a position now to have a great junior year. He's that blue collar guy. Every team needs a blue collar guy. Every team needs a guy that's going to do some of the dirty work, some of the things that require winning, whether it's setting screens, boxing out, communicating. And he's kind of that guy. He could again, we're trying to come up with the roles, and that's going to take a while, but he could be one of those glue guys. He's also, what I love is, he could have been disappointed how last year turned out. If you look at him on the bench and in the huddles, and after we win games, there was nobody happier than Evan last year. So you always hope those guys get rewarded as their career goes along, and he's in a position to be an important part of this team.
And just physical strength. I know he's not Matt Lartz, and he knows that. He's not a guy that you're going to dump it down to, and he's going to score 18 points a game. But he's got some game down there, and just physical. You'll laugh. I got involved in a Bradley fan forum chat board thing leading up to the game, and some guy said, well, Bradley's going to have a huge physical advantage because this Evan Schneider guy is 6'6", and I said, tell you what, there's no one in the Missouri Valley, and there's no one that is physically stronger than Evan Schneider that Bradley will play all season long. I mean, physically, this kid is a beast.
He's put together.
Yeah.
I mean, Evan is put together. I said this as a freshman. I mean, he eats weights. And as a freshman, I told him, more shooting, less lifting, because the guy we'd do our workout and he's back in there for I don't know how long, and the day off he's in there, and he loves that part of it. But that's who he is. And so he gives us to be really good, you have to have a physical presence.
Yep.
You have to be able to control the blocks and the paint, and he can do that. Absolutely. And he has a motor. He runs really well. You'll see our offense. He's a we always talk about screeners have to take control of situations and communicate that, and Evan will take control of it. You'll see he's going to run around and put bodies on people. He knows that's his strength, and so there's always a place for a guy like that, and he's just another fun guy to coach for sure.
Yeah. And then last guy on the roster, last but certainly not least, we talked about him being injured. He's probably out a couple more months. 6'8" junior Grant Hardy, who played a lot, freshman, sophomore on the floor quite a bit. Talk about Grant Hardy.
Yeah, it's been a shame. Grant's had, a lot of injuries. He's dealt with some of the stuff that we've had to these first 2 years. You think about the guys on the roster, how these guys are still the guys that dealt with COVID.
Yeah.
And this is the closest they've had to a regular season so far, knock on wood. And Grant is, when he's healthy, 6'8", runs like a deer, jumps out of the gym. He's a guy that we really felt could develop into a guy that could guard 4, if not 5 positions. It seemed like every time he's gotten on the cusp, we're at Yeshiva last year, he's the guy we put in to back up Matt Lartz.
Yeah.
He got in that game. But every time he's gotten there, something has happened, and then it's delayed his development. And but he's got a great attitude. Again, another really mature young guy, has value being part of the program. Everybody likes Grant. Really, really a good communicator. It's healthy, but he's a guy that I'm thrilled is still a part of the program and has a positive impact on it.
Yeah, will be good to get him back on the floor, because he brings a unique size and skill set out there. So hopefully he can get healthy. Appreciate all the time on the roster. We do this for Titan fans. They want to know about these guys, so we do this to give kind of extended time so people can get to know these guys. Just a couple more questions, Ron, and then I'll let you go. Thank you for all the time. You've mentioned this along the way. I want to make sure I capture it. Who are your captains this year?
So we got 3 captains: Lucas Heflen, Cody Mitchell, and Ryan Sroka. And it's fun because those guys have last year, those are the 3 guys that were really in the top 7. Kind of Ryan and Lucas were the 2 guys off the bench, and now the baton's passed for the leadership. And being a captain at Illinois Wesleyan, we take that as not just an honor, but a responsibility.
Yeah.
And if you look over the years, the guys that are captains is really an impressive group of individuals. And we rely on those guys to pass down the traditions and the culture, and they take it seriously. They're always guys that we want that embrace Titan basketball and take great pride in. Those 3 guys do.
October 16th, first practice, the team social media tweeted out a picture of the gym, and the guys were stretching. Coach, I'm always analyzing stuff behind the scenes. And I see that Sroka, Heflen, and Mitchell are leading the stretching. And I send you a text and I say, Ron, are those your captains? And you kind of slow played me. You said, well, we're checking it out, but I just want to know if you're impressed that I dig into these pictures and I look for the stuff other people don't look for.
I tell you what, that's hard hitting investigative ability there, Q. I would have never. Yeah, you sent me that. I'm like, how in the world did you get? And then you sent me the picture.
I circled them.
And I'll be honest, I had a feeling those were going to be the guys, but I wanted to see them lead. And more importantly, I wanted to see if guys would listen and follow. And so I wanted to see how that all played out. And I'm excited that it played out. But that was really impressive, Q. I can't get anything past you.
Yeah, I blew it up. I circled them. I go that. And I could barely even make these guys up. I was like, I know that's Sroka, Heflen, Mitchell. I think that means they're the captains. So I'm glad to get confirmation. Final question. What an exciting weekend. The Jack Sikma Invitational Tournament. It's the second go around. Last year was incredible. This year should be equally. You play Yeshiva in opening night. The first game on Saturday is Wisconsin Stevens Point versus Webster. Just big picture wise, talk about the weekend coming up in the Sikma Invitational.
Well, first, I wore this intentionally. The new Jack Sikma shirts are out.
That's looking good.
So yeah, I always kind of introduce that new Sikma shirt. So
you just sold a lot of shirts just now. That's big. You're an influencer.
Oh yeah. If anybody followed me, that my 3 followers are going to be impressed by that. What a cool thing. Thank you to Greg and Co-Gardner for the generous donation to start this tournament. Greg was a professor at Illinois Wesleyan and taught Jack Sikma. So to have that generous donation to run a first-class tournament, to have obviously a Hall of Famer like Jack Sikma still connected to the program, willing to be involved, willing to come back is super neat. Last year, we honored our previous academic All-Americans. This year, we're going to honor the 16 guys that have been named All-Americans.
That's
so
cool.
I think we've got 14 or 15 of the 16 former All-Americans that are coming back to be honored before the Yeshiva game. So that's kind of a cool program thing. In terms of the tournament, certainly the Yeshiva experience last year was one of a kind, but the mutual respect, friendship between the programs, something you can't really would never have anticipated, but really a neat thing. And so I know you have your fingerprints all over kind of making that relationship between the two programs happen. So thank you for that, Q. So it's going to be really neat seeing those guys and having them make the return trip here. And then you got a team like Stevens Point, which is one of the elite small college programs in the country. Webster, I have a ton of respect for Coach Bunch, and they are always in the hunt for the SLIAC as well as in the NCAA tournament several times. 4 great, there's going to be 2 great games on Saturday night. So what a way to kick it off. What a way to kick off the season with this tournament, and should be really exciting. We got Dr. Bob Spear and
that's worth coming. I mean, I know everyone wants to see Jack, but the underrated guy here is Bob Spear. So you'll laugh at this. So Bob sent me a note like 2 months ago. He said, if you happen to be flying to Bloomington on Thursday, I'm connecting in DFW on this flight, like at 1:00, in case you want to have a beer at the airport. 5 minutes later, I'm on AA.com booking my flight. Of course.
Are you coming in Thursday?
I'm coming in Thursday. So me and Bob Spear are on the same flight from DFW to Bloomington. And so, I mean, I figure if I have a chance to have a beer with Bob Spear at DFW, that's a no-brainer.
You don't pass up that opportunity. No. You don't know if it's coming back around. No question.
Absolutely. So I hope everyone gets to appreciate some Bob Spear time. He's a riot. Just one more question, Ron, on the kind of your opening matchup. I know you don't know who any of these guys are, because the guys you played against last year, most of them are gone. There's a couple guys from the rotation.
Yeah.
They're going to play probably 5 or 6 freshmen. They may start 4 freshmen. They have their opener tonight against the number 13 team in the country, St. Joe, Connecticut, who you will play. How do you prepare for a game when, again, you have no idea what to expect of these guys? Well, what has the prep been like? I know you're a preparer, but how do you prepare for Yeshiva this year?
Yeah, to be honest, up to now, we're so new. We've just been working on doing what we do, preparing our team to play a game and trying to get a better understanding of how we need to play. We looked ahead and know they play tonight, so we'll get a look at them. So we'll have 2 days. My fundamental thinking is they've been so successful with the way they played. I'm guessing they're not going to all change too much from that. They're motion offensive team.
Correct.
They play half court man-to-man defense. And so that would be my guess. And so, but I'm anxious. I can't wait to see the game tonight and see, a whole new crew out there, and that'll be fun too. Last year's seniors and guys really got to know each other.
Yeah.
And respect each other. And hopefully that same type of thing will happen this year.
Yeah. They've got a really talented freshman class. And so, I think they're going to bring a lot of talent to the floor. They'll be very inexperienced, but I mean, you are too. So, that should be a lot of fun. Well, Ron, thank you so much for all of this time. We do this once a year in this much detail because Titan fans enjoy this. Thank you so much for the time. Any final thoughts for Titan fans as we gear up for opening weekend?
Well, first, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. This is my job. I'm the coach here. You're doing this.
Right.
So I appreciate all you do to promote our program and Division III. This is an exciting team. We are going to be a team that gets better as the year goes on. As we, we're going to evolve and improve, and every year there's ups and downs. And but hang with this group. I think there's a high ceiling once we get this thing figured out. And again, I feel incredibly blessed to coach Illinois Wesleyan. I get to coach great young men that are hard workers, and should be a fun year. I think this will be another Titan team that Titan supporters are going to enjoy watching and getting behind.
Yeah, it's a talented group. We just, talk through all the guys, and well, it's going to take a little time to put this all together, but I tell you what, we're all looking forward to watching this play out. And like you said, people are going to need to be patient with this group. There's going to be moments where we scratch our head and be like, what are they doing? And then there's going to be moments where we're like, oh, there we go. So it's going to be a fun year, Ron. Appreciate it, everyone. This has been the 2022-23 Illinois Wesleyan men's basketball season preview. That's Ron Rose. Come to the Sroka Center this weekend, Saturday for 6 o'clock. First game, Titans are at 8. Come for both of them, and make sure to say hi to Bob Spear while you're there. Thanks, everyone.